Serious, they say, people don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses. What made you leave?
My manager hasn't been great pre-COVID, but as soon as our company was forced to shift to mostly WFH, she lost it. She demanded unpaid overtime and is of the mindset that WFH is always going to be less productive than working in office, because she says she gets 1/4 of her own work done when WFH. She also volunteered our department as the pilot project to go back into the office when cases were at an all-time high, but she herself was not coming in. In addition, she has demanded higher standards and tighter deadlines amidst the pandemic, and does not support us even when our clients are in the wrong. We have had a lot of our team members leave for better jobs recently, and everyone is looking to do the same.
As a nanny, it's weird when your boss is a mom with no actual experience in being a boss. The worst boss I worked for wasn't that bad when I first started working for her. Over the course of the year, she kept adding more things for me to do. I wasn't just taking care of the baby. I became their maid too, with no pay increase. Eventually it got even worse, and I was basically her personal assistant. She got a taste of power and completely abused it. As a young 19-year-old, it was hard for me to see how bad the situation was. It wasn't an overnight thing. I was eventually fired. The day after I was fired, she called me asking where I was. By that time the job was so bad. I did everything in that house, from taking care of the baby to hand washing the mom's delicates. She got me a uniform, and would reprimand me if it wasn't kept well. Same with hair and makeup requirements. She was a couple weeks pregnant with baby number 2 and was suggest I become a wet nurse for them. After I was fired, I never went back. This lady flipped out and showed up at my house.
I had a boss who would scream in my face so often, I started to strategize how I would handle it when she finally hauled off and hit me. She never did, but she did eventually lose her job after being accused of child abuse.
Probably the worst boss I ever had was at a McDonald's. We had a younger manager for the first 10 or so months I was there, then they decided to bring in a second manager from another store. For the first week or so he was fine, until one day one of the 16-year-old girls that usually works drive-thru was put on the grill for no reason. She got grease on her shirt and the manager said she looked like a pig and to clean it or go home. She left crying. The next day another underage kid asked to just get a drink of water after a 3-hour non-stop rush. The kid looked like he was about to pass out. The manager told him no, so he said he'd drink from the sink in the back. He told him if he did that he would send him home. I lost my beep when I heard that. Basically told him to beep off and left, never went back. I heard that a month later he was fired.
I don't know if I left any one person so much as a toxic overall culture that owned our very souls. Nobody ever received a positive comment in evaluations ever. That question got raised in a meeting once: do you think we could say something nice about somebody just once? That was met with the immediate response of, that's not what we're here for. I resisted all of this for 5 long years, but the right people who held years-long grudges against me personally rose up to the right positions to put together a case that would get me railroaded out. Fortunately, my direct report clued me in as to what was going down, so I was able to interview and get another job before the hammer came down. They were gonna drag me in on a Tuesday at 11 o'clock. I got the other job offer at 9. I preemptively turned in a resignation that said nothing more than, I resign my position effective XX 4X. I also refused an exit interview and presented state and federal statute that showed I was not required to give one. Even though they so badly wanted me gone, they were pissed that I'd beaten them to the punch. Reality was they wanted to put me on a setup to fail PIP so they could exploit my expertise through the summer season. Instead, I handed them a post-dated resignation, knowing they would immediately throw me out of the building, and that they would have to pay me through the effective date, which also got me my annual profit-sharing distribution. Now I'm in a job with far fewer hours, making more money, with coworkers that I actually like, and the old company laid off 10% of their employees, and slashed the compensation of those who remain by 30%. Good. Beep them.
I had been running the restaurant for weekend nights for 3 years. These were not easy shifts. 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. Still, I was a night owl and it was my pleasure. I took some days off and went to a hot spring with my now wife. Upon driving home, I noticed my leg hurt and within 2 hours was in the hospital for an infection that would take 3 antibiotics at once to deal with. I called in sick 3 days in advance. My AGM told me it was cool, heal up, and that they would cover my shift. They did not. For my first infraction, I was put on final warning and 1 step from being fired. After all the years of work, I put in 3 weeks notice the next day. Beep you illegal Pete's.
HR discussing private matters about staff to other staff. She was a disgusting person in general anyway and many other things, but this was the final straw.
The client let slip how much they were paying for me. In 1 month they paid more than my annual salary. I asked my boss for a pay raise and was told there was just no money available. I said I'd give them 6 weeks to find the money and she laughed at me as I wasn't the type to give ultimatums. When I handed my notice in after securing a better offer from another company, my boss's boss offered me a 50% raise to stay.
My boss was fine, the company was terrible. When I realized I didn't have a pension and could get one at a competitor, I booted.
I was 18 or 19 working my first job. He criticized my lipstick saying that it was an ugly color, recommending that I wore a bright red lip to go with my bright red uniform shirt. He didn't like my choice of all black shoes. He didn't like the way I mopped the floor, taking the mop from me to show me how to properly do it. He even told one of my coworkers that she couldn't wear a sports bra under her uniform. I quit a few days later.
I'd kill it with my efficiency scores all quarter, but when the time came for raises, I was given an impossible task. When I couldn't complete it, that was the reason cited for not giving me a raise. Our company grew and became more and more profitable because the jobs were getting bigger and bigger, and a lot of us would stay late and work overtime, but hardly anyone was getting raises. If they were, it was a cost of living raise being passed off as a genuine raise. So I figured I could take my skills elsewhere and changed careers.
Currently trying to leave. I'm salary. If I work any amount under 40, she docks it. If I work over 40, I get my salary pay. A few weeks ago I worked 2 days out of the week, then discovered I had been around a COVID-positive person and I started developing symptoms. Work sent me home. I got a test and work had me stay home until I got the results 4 days later, negative. Even though I'm salary, my paycheck showed up hundreds of dollars less than normal and my boss didn't bother to tell me my paycheck would be significantly less. Luckily I went to HR and they told her she couldn't do that. She later called me and apologized, saying she didn't know she had to pay me. This, amongst many other terrible things she does, is why I'm trying to get out of there.
I left Journeys because everyone except me came down with COVID and I was a new hire, but instead of finding people to come work and train me or shut the store down, they just said I had to do it all alone, so I left. I'm all for being thrown to the wolves if I have the knowledge to handle it, but not when I can't even do returns yet, lol.
Being called into my manager's office to be coached because I missed 1 day of work in a 2-month time span to attend my aunt's funeral. The first thing the manager said was, I would have done the same thing. She then proceeded to have me sign paperwork instructing how to avoid absenteeism to put in my work record. That day I decided to nope the heck out of there.
2 days off for the birth of my first child and a write-up the day I returned because my wife had been in labor too long. They fired her for being pregnant.
She gave off this cheerful, friendly appearance but over time realized she was immature, passive-aggressive, gossipy, and condescending. It was a shame because the workplace itself was great, but she brought the mood down and the rest of the staff hated her.
I was laid off because of COVID, but I considered leaving because the HR manager would speak to me about others in the company. She was toxic AF and told me everyone is out for themselves and they are all snakes. She was the only person I didn't like.
Favoritism towards the terrible employees that never did their job or did their job poorly, sloppy, minimal effort. I guess you can be a beep employee as you like to go out and get drunk with the boss.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.